Hi everybody, this is Lock Mullins, and I'm coming to you today with just a little bit of okay, everybody look sideways, a little small walkthrough. I haven't seen anybody else talk about this online yet, so I'm going to do a walkthrough. My first one, yay! I'm getting braver all the time, people. This is the Mystical Manga Tarot. It is by an artist called Ran. I really don't know anything about the artist. And the book and text is by Barbara Moore. Barbara Moore's terrific. It's a Llewellyn deck, which means you've got the chance of having a cool box, which look, I like the magnetic boxes. Though, you know what? The magnet doesn't seem to be as strong in this as what some of the other ones are. And then on the inside, the box is nice. I like the inside there. And there's the ribbon, which will help you pull up the book, and the cards. Now the cards, I have to tell you right off the bat, let's get this out of the way. Look at that cardstock, man. It is. This is the whole deck, and I can push it like that. And the cardstock is very... I don't want to do that too much, I'm afraid. Oh, that was actually even 2 or 3 cards. So let's talk about the book just for a minute. I really don't want this to be too horribly long, so I'm going to rush through stuff, and I'm sorry if I do. If, you know, it bothers you, chances are I'm not going to be doing very many of these, so bear with me. And, you know, you can always ask me questions and I'll answer them. First of all, there are illustrations. It's nice shiny paper. The book is beautiful, and you can notice in the Major Arcana you get just really a page written about them, and then the Minor Arcana you get a little bit less. So you know, the book is beautiful and the book is big. It's kind of really just like an extended little white book. They do have, this is cool though, the appendix. There's the Fool's Journey, where they do talk about the Major Arcana in order. And then there's a place in the notes, which I think is really nice. And you can write to Barbara Moore, and you don't find out anything about the artist. Okay, and then the front of the book tells you, you know, if you're a beginner, this is a good book. It tells you the parts of a reading and how to read. There's some extra touches, which are really, yeah, just talks, you know, helps you start, helps you end, talks about how to shuffle. And then there are some sample readings and a couple of different spreads, which is nice. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about the book. Here's the deck. I'm going to try not to spend too horrible much time, so bear with me while we just go through, and let me find a place. Let me put the box down so I can, because the lighting is so bad in here. Now I've knocked my box. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Fool and the Magician. If we have time, I'll go through and do like I'll pull a card and read what it has to say in the book, so you can get an idea of the sort of things that the books say. I haven't really made up my mind about the deck yet. I'm one of those people, I have kind of certain cards I go to look through. Not that it makes a break or deck for me, but it does give me an idea of how the deck will read. This card, I have to tell you, I looked and looked at it because I could not figure out why this woman had this wound in the back of her back, and it really bothered me. And it's like, you know, where one of the arrows just pulled out. What's going on? What's going on? There are petals. It's just falling petals, and this one happens to be in the middle of her back. But the closer I looked at it, the more it looked like it was something in her back to me. But it's not. So one small thing, and this is tiny, just a thing for me. I like for the horses to kind of be going in the same direction, or I like for the chariot to show some kind of movement. This is not my favorite kind of strength card, but it does show a good amount of strength. It's not a bad card. There's the Hermit. I like for the Hermit. I guess that is lit, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Not really impressed with the wheel. There's a lot that could be read into the wheel that's not really happy. This person is just kind of weighted at the bottom, and one snake's letting go of her, but there's another one coming down to get her. It's like she's not really on the wheel at all, and then there are these like skeleton hands behind her. I'm not sure. I know it just sounds like I don't like the deck, do I? The deck is wonderful. If you look closely in this, it's a very Rider-Waite-Smith deck, I can tell you that right off the bat. But he does have that traditional leg, like in the position 4. You know, this leg goes straight up and this leg comes out and crosses. So that's kind of nice that it's in there, but it's in there subtly. There's no white rose in this. I don't have to have a white rose, but, you know, the Temperance card is beautiful. The Devil's card kind of cracked me up a little bit. He can't see and she can't talk, and it kind of reminded me, there was a movie, I think with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, where they had to travel together, and one was blind and the other one was deaf. And even though she's not deaf, he can't hear her because she can't talk. So I just, you know, it just kind of struck me for a minute. There's the Tower card. The Star card, I think, is just beautiful. The Moon card, I'm getting used to the Moon card. I like it a little bit than when I first opened it up. It just kind of looked, I don't know, very, I don't even know how to explain it, but I like for my Moon cards to have this very, very spiritual feel, and I've had to kind of really look at this and look at her face and think about what her story might be and what spirituality might be in this Moon card. And it's not as bad as what I was first afraid of, but the Sun card has 2 kids on it, but hey, at least it's not a little naked boy trying to hold a flag up by himself. There's the Judgment, typical Judgment card. And the World. And here, I really like in the Ace of Swords how his hair kind of moves down and almost like grows into these leaves and stuff. It's very air with all the clouds and everything. That's very nice. I don't collect every manga deck that I can get hold of, but I do try to keep an eye out for manga decks that I might like. I've got just a few. I don't always care for like 3 swords through a heart, but I do have to tell you I liked that she's up in the air and it looks like she's doing magic, like she's trying to do some healing or something on this heart. I think there's a lot of really cool things that can be read into that. I like in this one that she's rowing herself, you know. I think that's pretty cool. She's taking care of it on her own. The colors are just beautiful. In this, I like when the 9 of Swords, when you can, it's like waking up from a nightmare. I mean, yeah, things can be bad. The Knight of Swords can mean, you know, a lot of things have to be dealt with. It can mean that there's a lot of sorrow going on. It can mean all those typical things. But I also like, you know, somebody's sitting up in bed, they've just woken up from the nightmare. I like that idea that there's always, you know, some kind of a positive spin or a way that you can start dealing with something. But this guy's woken up, and look at, there's like this monster behind the swords in there. So he's woken up like to a nightmare, which, I mean, you know, that needs to happen a lot in the readings too. This person isn't laying down dead, you know, and they're actually in the water, so there might be some healing going on there. Though all the swords in the back don't look comfortable, do they? This deck would be an easy one for those of you who trim. You will lose, especially if you use a rounder, you're going to lose part of that star and stuff. And the backs, I've noticed, are pretty much the same. And I've held the cards up to the front and the back at the same time. And I think the borders are about even. So if you're into trimming decks, I don't think you'll lose a lot. Though this border is not stark white, so that's not going to bother me as much. I don't mind. A lot of the stark white borders bother me, but some borders don't bother me. When I trim a deck, I like it to be, for me to have that feel that it really does improve the deck. I do have to say the colors in these are beautiful. Lots of times when the colors are beautiful and you get rid of those edges, it just makes the artwork everybody uses the word pop, but it's true. It really makes the artwork stand out. And then when you put them together without the borders, it just tells a better story. They flow better. Not with every deck, but with a lot. Here are the cups. Look at that. It's beautiful. The aces really are nice. Like, look at all the water in here. We didn't look at the Ace of Wands very much, but it was very fiery. I like in the Four of Cups, you know, the Four of Cups I always like to read in that the person is looking at these cups here without realizing that there's help. And, you know, usually this cup is just like coming from the clouds or something. But I like that there's an entity here actually with the cup, maybe trying a little bit harder to show him the cup than a lot of the Four of Cups in the Rider-Waite people are looking at. Of course, his eyes are closed, so also it looks like maybe he's being a little bit more obstinate about not seeing the help that's there for him. Don't cry over spilt wine. I like when the Seven of Cups, you know, you can interpret different meanings. This Seven of Cups, look at the crazy look in this dude's eyes. A lot can be read there. And I love the rainbow colored cups there. That's just beautiful. And there's the last ace, you know, and there's a cornucopia there. And then, you know, as the hair comes down, look at this, there's, you know, earth. And there's just earth there. I like when the Four of Cups, you know, usually is read as greed or somebody who's keeping something to themselves. I also like when it can mean that money or wealth kind of flows through you but does not necessarily have a hold on you. And in some decks it's just as straight, you can't read that anything but there's greed coming from somewhere. This deck, I can see this one going either way. You know, I can see that as a person who handles money and lets it go, or who makes money but doesn't have to be greedy with it. This is interesting that the person outside the church here has wings. Okay, so there is the deck, everybody. The Mystical Manga book by Barbara Moore. I'm becoming a fan of Ran. I don't know. I know a little bit about manga. I don't know all the manga people. If anybody knows, it's like if this is really somebody and I'm missing like a manga artist and it's like, oh, this person's done this and this and this and this, you know, let me know, because I don't know them all. Close your ears for those of you who can't stand to see people riffle shuffle. I'm not going to shuffle these as many times as you should. I think maybe I've mentioned this before, but somebody actually did a study, and for a 78 card deck, and I'm not going to be able to remember the number, but they have to be shuffled 11 times to completely randomize the deck. There was actually a mathematician who figured that out. If anybody's interested, I can look up the book that it's in. Okay, so let's read from the book. Okay, we got the Ten of Cups. Let me find the cups. Okay, whoops, that's the Page of Cups. Okay, the Ten of Cups. The divinatory meaning. Suit of Cups, like a fairy tale, ends with a happily ever after card. In this moment, the hard work of fostering healthy, loving relationships culminates in a sense that all is right with the world. In addition, looking from this vantage point at the future is glorious. You are all sharing the same beautiful dream and ready to take the next step together. The future may bring challenges, but you know together you can face anything. Advice: really enjoy this feeling imprinted in your heart and make sure your loved ones know without a doubt how you feel. You can draw on this feeling for strength during hard times. Reversed, it's showing a false front, family arguments, broken promises, or vows. So the guidebook, you know, it's like I said, it's better than a little white book, but it's beautiful to look at for those of you, you know, if you're a seasoned reader, this book is fine because it gives you like maybe a new way to say something, but you know, there's not any information in here that it's fine for a beginner, I think, and if you're a seasoned reader, it's a fun read. So that is my look at the Mystical Manga Tarot. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope some of you maybe get the deck. If you do, let me know how you think about it, how you feel, and if it's working for you. I have a couple of ideas for a few more videos, so look forward to a few more in the future. So thanks for watching, everybody, and lots of love to you all.